What if I told you that cheating isn't always the end of a relationship? What if I told you that in some rare cases, betrayal can actually crack open a door to deeper truth, stronger intimacy, and even healing? Sounds outrageous, right? Because we've all been taught one thing since childhood. Cheating is the ultimate deal breaker, the end of love, the destroyer of trust. But here's the question I want you to wrestle with today. Is cheating always wrong? Or can it, sometimes, save a relationship? Before we dive in, make sure you subscribe to Psych Rhythm for more bold conversations that peel back the layers of love, life, and the human mind. And while you're here, drop the word truth in the comments if you're ready to face some uncomfortable realities about relationships. Now, let's get into it. The black and white illusion. Most of us were raised in a culture that views relationships as black and white. Loyalty equals good. Cheating equals bad. Period. No exceptions. Religious teachings condemn it. Society shames it. Movies dramatize it. Every story seems to repeat the same moral. The cheater is selfish, cruel, irredeemable. But reality is more complicated. Because human beings are complicated. Some people cheat because they're selfish thrill seekers. Others cheat because they feel trapped in suffocating marriages. Some cheat because they're desperate for affection after years of neglect. And sometimes, though we don't like to admit this, cheating becomes a wake-up call, shaking a dead relationship back to life. The French philosopher Albert Camus once wrote that the absurd is born of this confrontation between the human need and the unreasonable silence of the world. Maybe betrayal is exactly that, an absurd, painful act born out of needs unmet and silences too long endured. So, can we really dismiss all cheating as the same, or should we dare to explore the gray? The human hunger for more. Let's be honest, relationships are not just about love. They're about desire, connection, adventure, comfort, validation, safety, passion. And here's the kicker. No single partner can fulfill every need we have. That's not a flaw in love. It's a flaw in human expectation. The philosopher Plato gave us the myth of the soulmate in his dialogue Symposium, a story about humans being split in half and forever searching for their missing piece. Romantic, yes, but dangerous too, because if you believe your partner should be your everything, disappointment is inevitable. So, what happens when someone feels their partner can't give them what they crave? Some talk it out, some suppress it, and some step outside the relationship. Is it right? Maybe not. But is it understandable? A story of betrayal and awakening. I once came across the story of a woman who had been married for over a decade. On the outside, her life looked perfect. Husband, children, career, home. But inside, she felt invisible. Her husband was kind but distant, absorbed in work and responsibilities. She didn't plan to cheat. It happened slowly. Conversations with a colleague, shared laughter, the thrill of being seen again. One night, a line was crossed. The guilt nearly crushed her. But here's the twist. That betrayal forced her to confront what she had been burying for years. For the first time, she told her husband, "I feel unloved. I feel unseen. I'm dying inside." The affair didn't destroy their marriage. It exposed its cracks. And together, they rebuilt, not into what they once had, but into something new. This doesn't excuse her actions, but it does prove one thing. Sometimes betrayal is not the end. Sometimes it's the alarm that wakes two people up before it's too late. The other side of the coin. Of course, not all stories end like that. Many end in heartbreak, rage, and shattered trust. I also know of a man who discovered his partner's betrayal after years of what he thought was loyalty. For him, cheating wasn't a wake-up call. It was a breaking point. He left, choosing peace over pain. And in walking away, he built a life that was more authentic, more free, and more aligned with his self-worth. So we see two truths. Betrayal can awaken, or betrayal can destroy. Which one it becomes depends not just on the cheater, but on the couple, the context, and the choices they make after. The provocative question. So is cheating always wrong? Or can it, under certain conditions, save a relationship? This is where philosophy and psychology collide. Because while morality says wrong, psychology whispers, wait, look deeper. And maybe that's where the answer lies. Not in judgment, but in understanding. Not in black and white, but in the messy, painful, complex shades of gray where human love actually lives. Cheating is never just about sex. It's about something deeper, something psychological, something unspoken. So let's peel back the layers. Why people cheat. The uncomfortable truths. The American psychologist Esther Perel once said, "The question is not why people cheat, but why they stay faithful." Because if you think about it, temptation has always existed. Desire is part of being human. So why do some resist while others give in? Some cheat because they're chasing novelty. They crave the high of something new, the spark of forbidden passion. Others cheat out of loneliness, after years of emotional neglect. Some cheat out of revenge, some out of boredom. And then there are those who cheat not because they don't love their partner, but because they feel lost in themselves. Their affair isn't about the other person. It's about finding a missing piece of themselves they thought they had lost. But here's where it gets complicated. Sometimes cheating happens inside toxic, abusive, or suffocating relationships. If someone is trapped in a marriage where they are belittled, controlled, or emotionally starved, or even mentally or physically abused, their betrayal may not just be an act of selfishness. It may be their only grasp at survival, their cry for freedom, their desperate attempt to feel human again. Still wrong, maybe, but does it make them a monster? Not necessarily. The philosophy of betrayal. Let's go back to the philosophers for a moment. Friedrich Nietzsche argued that morality itself is often just a social construct, a set of rules created to keep order, not necessarily to reflect truth. He believed humans are driven by the will to power, the urge to expand, grow, and break limits. If Nietzsche is right, then cheating isn't just a sin, it's an act of rebellion against limits, an eruption of the human hunger for more. But then, we also have Kant, who would completely disagree. Kant believed morality is universal, absolute. For him, if an action can't be universalized without chaos, it is wrong. And if everyone cheated, trust would collapse. Relationships wouldn't survive. So by his logic, cheating is always immoral, no exceptions. So whose side do we take? Nietzsche's or Kant's? Or do we admit the truth lies somewhere in the tension between them? Once a cheater, always a cheater. Now let's address the infamous saying, once a cheater, always a cheater. Is it true? The science says, not always. Studies show that people who cheat once are more likely to cheat again, but not destined to. Why? Because cheating isn't just about character, it's about circumstances, mindset, and growth. If someone cheats, feels the pain of betrayal, confronts their own flaws, and commits to change, they may never repeat it. But if someone cheats, blames others, and refuses accountability, then yes, the cycle will repeat. So the real question isn't, once a cheater, always a cheater. The real question is, has the cheater done the inner work to grow past what led them there? forgiveness, resentment, and the silent time bomb. But what happens when cheating is discovered and forgiven? Forgiveness sounds noble. It sounds healing. But here's the hidden danger. Sometimes forgiveness plants a seed of resentment. I've seen this story many times. A partner forgives, determined to save the relationship. They stay, they smile, they try to rebuild, but deep down, a wound festers. Years later, that unhealed resentment explodes, sometimes in another betrayal, sometimes in endless fights, sometimes in cold emotional distance that no amount of love can melt. This is the dark truth nobody likes to talk about. Sometimes forgiving too quickly, without real healing, only delays the collapse. So forgiveness can save, but forgiveness can also backfire. Cheating in the digital age. And let's not forget, cheating today looks very different than it did decades ago. Emotional affairs, late-night DMs, secret OnlyFans subscriptions, flirty texts labeled just friends. Digital cheating is real cheating, and in some ways it cuts even deeper than physical betrayal, because it's not about bodies, it's about attention, intimacy, emotional investment, which begs another question. Is sexting cheating? Is fantasizing cheating? Is watching someone else online while ignoring your partner cheating? Every couple defines their own boundaries, but in a world where temptation is one click away, the gray areas keep expanding. And the more gray we face, the less useful always wrong feels. The dilemma. So where does this leave us? On one hand, betrayal shatters trust. Betrayal wounds deeply. Betrayal can destroy love permanently. On the other hand, betrayal can awaken hidden truths. Betrayal can push couples to grow. And betrayal, in rare cases, can even save. And this is why the question matters. Because in real life, love is not a moral theory. It's two people navigating hunger, hurt, fear, desire, and the terrifying need to feel chosen. So what do we do with betrayal? Do we punish? Do we forgive? Do we stay? Do we leave? We've unpacked why people cheat. We've questioned morality, forgiveness, and resentment. Now let's go deeper into real stories, because theories are easy, but when you hear how betrayal actually plays out in real lives, you begin to see the raw, messy truth of love. Story 1. The couple who chose to rebuild. They had been married for nearly a decade. From the outside, they looked perfect. 2 kids, a beautiful home, successful careers. But beneath the smiles, there was silence. Months passed without intimacy. Conversations became shallow. And then the wife discovered her husband had been having an affair. It shattered her world. She felt rage, humiliation, despair. She almost walked out that night, but then something unexpected happened. Instead of excuses, instead of gaslighting, he broke down and confessed everything. Not just the affair, but his loneliness, his fear of rejection, his shame about feeling invisible. It was brutal. It was raw, but it was honest. She chose against all advice from friends to stay. She wanted to see if the relationship could be reborn from truth, not because she was weak, not because she couldn't live without him. It wasn't easy. There were sleepless nights, therapy sessions, endless tears. But over time, they began to rebuild. Not the marriage they once had, but a new one. One built on brutal honesty, vulnerability, and courage. And strangely, the affair that almost destroyed them became the spark that saved them.
Story 2. The couple who walked away. Now let's flip the script. Another couple, another betrayal. This time, the wife discovered her husband had been unfaithful multiple times. She confronted him. He begged forgiveness. He promised to change. She almost stayed. But deep down, she knew something. Even if he never cheated again, she would never feel safe with him. She would always wonder, always doubt, always question. And she realized, Love is not just about surviving together. It's about peace. It's about freedom. It's about waking up next to someone and feeling whole, not paranoid. So, she left. She chose herself. She chose peace over war, healing over cycles, self-respect over empty promises. And years later, she built a new life. Not perfect, not painless, but free. Her story reminds us, sometimes the bravest choice is not staying. It's walking away. When forgiveness heals and when it kills. Both stories are true. Both are valid. And both remind us of something important. Forgiveness is not always healing. Staying is not always strength. Leaving is not always failure. Forgiveness heals when both partners do the work, when the betrayer takes full responsibility and rebuilds trust day by day without shortcuts. But forgiveness kills when resentment festers, when the wound is covered with silence instead of stitches, when you stay but your soul has already left. So the real courage is not in forgiving or leaving. It's in knowing which one is right for you. Cheating as a mirror. Here's the part most people miss. Cheating is rarely about the third person. It's a mirror reflecting what was broken in the relationship or in the betrayer's inner world. Sometimes that mirror shows neglect. Sometimes it shows selfishness. Sometimes it shows trauma. And this is where philosophy comes back in. The ancient Stoics believed that suffering is a teacher. Every pain we face is a chance to learn something essential about ourselves. So maybe the deeper question isn't, was cheating wrong? But what truth did cheating reveal? Betrayal and power. Cheating isn't just a sexual act. It's about power. The power to break rules. The power to hide. The power to hurt or to feel in control when everything else feels lost. And when you've been cheated on, that's why it hurts so much. It's not just the sex. It's the loss of power, the feeling that your reality was stolen, that your story was rewritten without your consent. So, healing after betrayal isn't just about trusting again. It's about reclaiming your power, your voice, your sense of self. The turning point. So, where does this leave us? Cheating can destroy love beyond repair. It can push two people to face the truth. It can force one person to finally choose themselves. But whichever path it leads to, it always changes you. No one comes out of betrayal the same. The real question is, do you use the pain to stay trapped or to grow? So, when betrayal happens, how do you actually move forward? We've questioned, we've raged, we've told stories of betrayal and survival. But now we face the hardest truth. When cheating happens, how do you actually move forward? The weight of resentment. Let's be real. Betrayal is not something you just get over. Some partners try. They forgive, they rebuild. But years later, during a fight, it resurfaces. You cheated on me. That's resentment speaking, silent, heavy, toxic. And resentment is a slow poison. It doesn't kill overnight. It erodes day by day until the love is unrecognizable. So here's the brutal truth. If forgiveness is forced, it's not forgiveness. It's a time bomb. When forgiveness works. But forgiveness can work. We've seen it. It works when the cheating partner takes radical responsibility. No excuses, no half-truths, no blaming. It works when both partners are willing to rebuild, not the old relationship, but a new one with stronger foundations. It works when pain is faced head-on, in therapy, in conversations, in tears. And it works when forgiveness is not about erasing the past, but about writing a different future. When walking away is strength. But let's not romanticize forgiveness. Sometimes the most empowering choice is to walk away. If betrayal shattered your trust so deeply that you'll never feel safe again, staying is not love. It's self-abandonment. If cheating happened in a toxic or abusive relationship, leaving is not a weakness. It's survival. If your partner expects forgiveness without change, leaving is not selfish. It's self-respect. The truth is, Some relationships are meant to be rebuilt. Some are intended to be buried. Both paths require courage. Philosophical reflection. The German philosopher Nietzsche once said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." Betrayal doesn't have to kill you. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to chain you to bitterness or paranoia. It can make you wiser, more resilient, more aware of what you want and what you will never tolerate again. The choice is yours. Do you let betrayal shrink your life or expand it? So when betrayal happens, how do you actually move forward? Is cheating always wrong, or can it save relationships? The answer is not black and white. It lives in the gray, in the choices, in the aftermath. Some couples are destroyed, some couples are reborn, and some individuals find their freedom in walking away. But the real power lies not in the act of betrayal, but in how you respond to it. So tonight, I leave you with a challenge. If you've been betrayed, or if you've betrayed someone, don't ask, "Was this right or wrong?" Ask instead, "What truth did this reveal about me, about them, about us?" And then decide, do you rebuild with honesty, or do you walk away with dignity? Either way, you win if you choose from a place of strength. If this video made you think differently about cheating in relationships, subscribe to Psych Rhythm for more powerful conversations that challenge your beliefs and spark your growth. And in the comments, I want you to write one word: truth. Because no matter what betrayal has taught us, truth is the only foundation strong enough to carry real love. This was Psych Rhythm. Stay strong, stay awake, and remember, sometimes the hardest endings are also the greatest beginnings.